Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Just want to do a quick little, technology check to make sure that we are coming in clearly and that you can see us as well. If anyone wants to be quick on the draw in the chat, be the first in chat. It's always thank you, Kenneth. Wonderful. How's everyone doing today? Love to know how's the weather going on. Hopefully you're staying safe. Know all of our folks in Florida, hopefully they're hunkered down or, safe somewhere. Hello, Shawnette. Mahayanas Management Services. Did I say that correctly? It's a very pretty name. Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll give people a few moments to, I'm glad I didn't butcher that. That's always like a moment. But we'll give a few moments to for some folks to straggle in. But we'd love to hear where you all are tuning in from. And we're going to be talking about building a resilient agency today. So if you have any questions or be curious sort of what you'd like to learn or get out of this conversation as we dive into it here in just a moment. Central Texas.
Woo!
Britton, remind me what part of the country you're joining us from?
Oh, I'm in South Carolina, so I'm waiting for Ian to hit me on Friday night, Saturday morning. So we're hunkered down up here getting ready. It's like snow in the south. Everybody freaks out. So, thanks, Kurt.
Yeah, we were trying to chat before, and I just kept getting distracted by all this cool Star Wars paraphernalia in the background.
Hashtag Andor every Wednesday, Disney Plus. No Disney
no spoilers, please. We haven't started watching it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
None.
Anaheim,
California.
All right.
Nice.
Very cool. Well, let's go. We got one in Orange County. Oh, I'm a huge fan of Orange County. Used to love visiting there from San Diego.
Santa Ana, California for me.
Right on. Well, hello, everyone. I am Chris with the Cloud Campaign team, and joining us today is Britton Briley from Ghost Marketing. Britton, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Sweet. No, thank you for having me. It's a
well,
great honor.
Before we get started, can you just give us a brief introduction of who you are and sort of what you do?
Yeah. So I'm the owner of Ghost Marketing. We're based in the southeast of the United States. We're one of the, in our area at least, we're one of the true last a la carte digital marketing agencies. And using that platform, allowing our clients to pick and choose what we do. For us, the best thing about it, my background, I used to be, regional market director for GNC, chief marketing officer for UFC Gym out of Santa Ana, California. So my California fans know UFC Gym. And with all of that, starting my own agency because I realized that, don't mind working for the man, love corporate America, but I want to climb my own ladder. I want to work on something that's mine, but doing the agency, we do it our way. We break it down where it's very, very customized for each client. And I think that's the way sort of marketing has to be adaptable and how we do stuff and how we started. We started only 2 years ago. In 2020 during COVID,
COVID business.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And we skyrocketed during COVID when a lot of marketing agencies sort of fell back because of, how clients perceived agencies. So
that's really good.
Yeah, that's Ghost to me in a nutshell, real fast elevator.
And aside from that, also just like great brand logo. We were talking in the office the other day, like we need to get some shirts from Britton, do a little shirt swap.
Yeah, I'll send them new sizes.
I still love that metal card that you gave me. That was really neat.
Yeah. Do you have the fun one or do you
have the fun one? I think. Yeah.
Fun one. Yeah.
It's always good to have good swag on hand. Always leaves a good first impression. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your background. Just some quick housekeeping real fast before we begin. We are going to be sending a recording of this after we're finished, along with a really short feedback survey, just asking how we did on the content and what we talked about. We also plant a tree for every survey completed, so you can help us improve the quality of our content and help us help the environment as well. So thank you for doing that. Second, we'll also be doing a Q&A at the end, but please do not let that stop you from popping in some questions as we're going along. As long as they're related to the chat, If you do have any technical support questions for Cloud Campaign, please just direct those to our amazing support staff, just to keep us focused and on track. So let's get into it. We're talking about how to build a resilient agency. Because let's face it, the world right now, it's filled with a lot of uncertainty. We've got supply chain issues, we've got lack of employees, rising inflation, everything's just more expensive. So it's no wonder that just businesses across the board are battening the hatches in their wallets, which I think puts the pressure on agencies and businesses when their clients draw back or just stop using your services altogether. So Britton, I wanted to ask you the first question. What does building a resilient marketing agency mean to you?
I really honestly, when we think about this, it's a two-pronged attack, because we think about resilient. I think about, yes, market swings. We think about what's happening around with inflation, what happened during COVID. We're already feeling like we're coming out of being knocked down in the sixth round. And we're like, okay, we just got out of COVID. We're now dealing with, if you're in the restaurant industry or the automotive industry, they're finally getting their lots filled back up, or restaurants are finally getting, butts and seats, but now it's food cost issues. Now it's supply chain issues. And so for us, how we built everything is just being transparent with the clients. A lot of times, like, hey, listen, it's an investment you're making. Marketing is not a guaranteed thing. It's not always an overnight success. Clients understand if it's, a 3, 6, 12, or 24-month contract, they always see us as an expense. And it's really hard to, as money gets tight, as clients restrict their spend, if it is on SEM, if it is on social ads, if it is on even traditional advertisements, direct mailers, radio, TV, billboards. How do we make them understand that in this downtime, when we're sort of like in that slump, how can we say, hey, how can we be on top of mind? How can we still engage with our clients? And building a resilient agency, I think, really deals with having that transparency, that openness with your client, and really building that relationship that's saying, hey, yes, you're going to stop spending as much, but how can we make the dollar go longer and smarter by maybe turning off some of the traditional ads, moving towards digital? Or how can we do boots on the ground guerrilla marketing? How can we get the staff to be advocates? Because we all know, not our staff, but like client staff, that's always the hardest thing. We can take a horse to water, but we can't make them drink it. The staff sucks. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like I deal with it all the time. Like, staff didn't do this, staff didn't do that. I'm like, well, hey, how much is this costing you to have a customer come in your door? And then the staff are driving out the back. And then I'm working 3-4 times as hard because they had bad service or bad experience or a bad phone call. It's all that stuff.
Well, so you brought up a lot of really interesting points and tactics. What have you done specifically for your business to make it more resilient?
Well, I think it's like diversifying our portfolio. We understand that there's a lot of agencies out there. We love them, that they're a niche. There's a couple agencies here in town in South Carolina that are all about auto industry. We love that. That's great. Auto is great. But the thing is, when they didn't have cars on the lot, they cut all their spend, 100% of it, because you can't sell anything on the lot. We're trying to sell, 2023, 2024 inventory when we can't even sell 2022 because there's nothing on the lot. There's no chips. It's all on shipping containers out on the Pacific coast. So for us, it's diversifying. Like we deal with restaurants. I mean, niches are great, but niches put you in a hole. And when that industry sort of falls, you are okay. What you're scrambling. If you have payroll, if you have people, if you have softwares, programs, then us as agencies, or we're becoming the business owners. Okay, what do we have to stop spending money on? And you're in a panic mode. So diversifying your portfolio and learning that stuff, really diving into books or I think about, great blueprints from Meta always sends out great blueprints just to look at and refresh and see how we can optimize better stuff. So diversifying your portfolio.
So when you were diversifying for Ghost, was there a certain strategy that you took? Was there like so if we're serving this and this market goes down, this market would it be able to sort of withstand what, like complementary, like does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we think about seasonal. So when we think about this, like great examples, like, we deal with a lot of gyms and supplement companies. And the hardest things, like, they boom, right there, January to April. Fantastic. Everybody's thinking about New Year's resolutions. Everybody's thinking about, I want to go get fit. Yeah, dude, it's like every time we sit down, someone's like, hey, I'm getting ready for January. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's not January 1. It's honestly January 14th to almost February 1st, because people are trying to restock their wallet from everything they spent in December for Christmas. So they're not just going to open up January 1st and say, hey, I'm going to spend money. So for them, it's like we try to plant the seed in like November, December to reap the benefits of January 1st, or we focus really heavily on the very beginning of Q1. But we know Q2 and Q3 are gonna be dead because people are going on vacations. They try to get their beach bod, and so as think about supplements and gyms are up Q1, they're gonna start dying Q2, Q3, and maybe raise a little bit more on Q4. During that, okay, restaurants, we think about convenience stores. We think about when one market's down for us, the other one will be up. So we never have a constant down or off season. It's constantly up, but it's with a different client. So sort of understand your market. Every market's different. Every projection of the cost and what you need to do as an agency changes. Here in the South is dirt cheap. I'm just being completely honest, compared to New York, compared to California, compared to Boulder, Colorado. I mean, it's cheap down here. So it's a lot different in your market, and just understanding what's around you and how you figure out really what niche to go after and how to diversify that for yourself based on your market.
Yeah.
A lot of R&D.
I mean, especially with just the cost of, location, like you said, going up for really no reason aside from someone said that it has to. It's when those costs are unexpected, or suddenly markets lock up overnight because inventory is just not available. I think that's a really sound approach of be able to have those complementary other businesses that will be peaking or remain stable for you. You mentioned something last time we talked about adaptive pricing and sort of using that as a strategy to stay not above water, but hopefully resilient and thriving. Can you talk to me about and talk to the audience about what that means and sort of how that's helped you?
Yeah. So for us, it's like really breaking down. I think every agency has their own pricing. And for that, it really depends. Like we already talked about the market share, what's competitive, what's obviously under, fair, or over when it comes to your market. Because I'm not going to try to charge something like what New York prices are in Greenville, South Carolina, because you're crazy. But in New York, absolutely. But for us, we think about the psychology of business owners. We talk to business owners every day, and we are half the time, all of us here are most likely business owners. Besides obviously cloud campaign and hosting, this is great. But it's like, if we're an agency owner, we're talking to other owners, and they like to keep it super simple, easy. What's going to cost me for the day? What's going to cost me for the year? What's it going to cost me every month? What is my expense? What am I going to get out of it? And they're always like, ROI. What are you going to give me for it? So for us, building that relationship and building sort of that pricing model for us is we have a whole sheet that we give our clients. It literally breaks down everything we do, just little boxes. It doesn't have pricing associated with it. So if they click on, like, let's say, SEM, keywords, AdWords, if they click on web development, hosting, or they click on, let's say, traditional advertising, billboards, radio, TV, we have this whole thing that they click. And then, so we basically given them the option to tell us what they want. And then we can do add-ons at the back. So like, hey, if you're doing social media, you really need content. We really need photographer, videographers out. How can we dedicate hours to those every month? This is what's going to look like billables. But we try to put that into their court as the owner, as the business owner. So then they come back and they literally have told us everything they already want. So all these, as we go through it, like, hey, you want this? Yes. You want that? Yes. You want this? Yes. We're getting all these confirmations. Yes, 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 yes. At the very end of it, the price shouldn't be the issue, because money's never the issue in the absence of value. So we have to build that value as we're going through those to then sign. You said yes to all of these. Here's the price. Oh, yes. They should automatically almost say yes, outside of different, hey, what's truly the cost, or hey, what's the variables, or how long is this, some of those things. But we're trying to psychologically build them up to say yes, but it's that a la carte model that's helping us close the deal at the end by just saying, what do you want? They fill it out based on what we have. And we literally just get all these confirmations at the very end. We're like, ready to go? Yes. Like it's a psychological thing for us on our pricing model. But we're giving the client exactly what they're asking.
Do you have like for. Any statistics of like, before when we were doing this, we were closing this amount of deals, whereas after we sort of took this approach, we're closing this amount? Do you kind of have that, even if it's off the?
We do. We actually did it. Yeah, we used to do it packages, like we call it like the ghost, the Casper, like it's all ghosted. It's all branded to us. Yeah, exactly. Paranormal package. We love those, and those were great, but it literally gave some of the clients things they didn't want or need. Like we said, okay, hey, this one's going to include 3 postings a week. It's going to include 1.5 hours of photography, videography. We're going to handle your website. We're going to handle literally, it was such a package built for us, not for our clients. And the issue with it is like, they would say, well, I don't need this. I don't need that. Don't need this. And all of a sudden the no's would start happening. I don't need, it was already that psychological side of saying, no, can we change this for something else? What's that look like? Let's reprice this. And we looked at it, and I think it was 67%. I think it was always a no, or I'll think about it, or let me push off to Q1 because it's Q2 now. And I've already had this marketing company with me. It was like, I think it was 60. I have to run some numbers, but I think it was 67% increase in closing once we went to all the card.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I wouldn't, if you're running a business, you're not going to pay for things you don't need or want. And if who you're working with isn't flexible enough to give you that, just move on to the next agency, the next business.
Absolutely. And then for us on pricing side, it's really dependent on cost and labor. So with us having a whole staff, and some people outsource stuff, some people, if they go to Fiverr, if they go, obviously, outsource it to out of country or in town or someone else, it's really dependent on those costs. For us, we already built out like, okay, hey, we already have, and this is how we think about it. And this actually probably be good for Cloud Campaign, and might be spilling too much juice for us, but we base about like $20 to $25 per post. So for us, we're like, okay, great. We have Cloud Campaign. Okay, we're posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and Google My Business. Let's say 5. We're doing that times 20. That's already doing the math. And then, okay, we're doing that. Say we're doing that, 2 times a week on 5 platforms for all your channel. We just start doing the algorithm right there, because we already based on how much time it takes our social media managers to do all those, optimize them, change them, add the hashtags, add the tags, we already had that down. Then basically it's just for us, it's a click and paste for our back end to build a plan for them based on what they chose.
Very cool. Yeah, you said something earlier that really stuck out to me. You said money will be an issue in the absence of value. And I think that's just a good thing to mull over any time you want to, offer something. Just, is this providing value? So my question to you is, what are some ways that you pack that value into your agency, into your business, into your services?
Yeah. So like for us, like it comes down to a lot of R&D. It's understanding the client before I even meet with them. So like, I'll give you an example. We have a payroll company. Payroll is not fun. It's not fun to post about. It's not fun to talk about. People hate talking about finances. It's always like, hey, you're going to press send and your payroll is going out to all your friends. Like, how do you talk about that in a fun way? But for us, it wasn't really about, talking about the business. It was talking about the people inside the business. So a guy named Brad. Brad's the guy that runs the whole thing. And when we first talked on the phone, it was fun. I was like, okay, so sort of tell me what you're looking to do, what your competitors are, basically an exploratory call. And he's like, I just want a damn trophy. That's what he said. I just want a damn trophy. I said, okay, all right. He's like, I want it for my boss, the owner of the company. He runs it all. And so when we met, I had a cutout of him holding a trophy. We met in person. First time I ever met this guy, ever. He walked in the building. I said, hey, can you close the door to our conference room? He closed it. Behind it was a life size, just like my stormtrooper back here, 6'3", his face on a body with the trophy. I said, take it home. It's Brad number 2. And he just laughed. He took it to his boss. He talked about it. Now that cutout cost me money. We didn't have the contract yet. I looked into who he is. I looked into his wife, I looked at his profile, like not stalking, but it's like, okay, who is this person that I'm talking to? How can I relate to him on a personal level outside of a transactional thing, and really find out what he likes? And when he said that, I just want a trophy, he probably meant it as a joke. In fact, I'm like, okay, how can I take that to heart? That cutout cost me $87, $92, but we got the contract, and the contract's worth $83,000 for the whole year. I'm like, okay, I mean,
that's advertising. That's a write-off there. It's easy.
Yeah. And even when we went to our official signing, him and his boss and a coworker all got tattoo sleeves from Amazon, put them on, and we all took a photo together all with tattoo. So it was like it was a fun environment. Like, it's that value. And when I say like value, ultimately, it's really like, understand you're talking to people. Yes, there's a lot of numbers. Yes, it's like, okay, hey, this person might just be window shopping, but really find out who they are to the core. Build that value into it, and the money at the end of it, they're like, absolutely. Hey, this person's amazing. This team's amazing. They're going out of their way. They're going above and beyond before they're even guaranteed money to build that value to get the money.
I think that's really powerful. Just like, you have to know who you're trying to court. Can you share like one more just R&D tactic that you use? I feel like, everyone says you got to know your audience, you got to know your market, and that's great. But I think sometimes it's like, but then how? Like, how do I know that? What do you like to do?
So we have a 5-step process. Think about it. There's 5 days throughout the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Very easy. And if you're one of those people that you're out knocking on doors, sending out emails, giving out calls, cold calls, and no one's getting back to you. There's no one. And you're like, man, I'm just not getting people in. Like, how do I truly get, more clients on board when I can't, really get to the decision maker? There's all that red tape you got to cut through. So we have a 5-step process. Oh yeah, exactly. So first thing, obviously, do a little R&D, figure out who you're talking to. If it's automotive like Drexelmeyer, if it's gas convenience, if it's a restaurant food, if it's health and wellness, whoever it is. Especially if they're local, that's good. If they're more international or on a bigger scale, you got to figure out sort of those rhythms. But this is more for like the hyper local agency. But we do all this research and development, look at the competitors, look at obviously their social media influence, look at sort of what they're doing. So the first thing we do on our side for sort of like this stuff is we hit them up through social, Facebook, Instagram. Hey, I would love to know who does your marketing. I've seen some of your posts, would like to make some recommendations. I see your competitors, what they're doing. Here are some holes. Here's a free market analysis or here free marketing for you. I just need to know who to contact. You hit them up through social. That's Monday. Half the time they're not going to get back to you. If they're not good on social, if they're not good anywhere, there's going to be this unread. Like, freaking great. They're not responding to me. So obviously day number 2, the biggest thing is you get a phone call. You find out the phone number, you call them. Hey, listen, I hit up you on social. Is Chris not there? Who's the person that's over the social media? They're not answering me. And it's like, might be a little girl named Emily that picked up. Hey, my name is Emily. Hey, who's over it? Chris is great. Can I get Chris's email? So that was Tuesday. You called them to get their email. So now it's Emily. The company. The R&D. You talked to Emily at the front desk. You got Chris's email. Then day 3, we email them. Hey, Chris, I talked to Emily. I'm putting names in there, meaning I know your coworkers. I talked to them specifically. And so we emailed you, and half the time, how many emails do we get on a daily basis? I have like 78 in my inbox right now. I'm not going to look at it. We already know this. And this is us knowing the psychology of it, is you're looking at your email. You're not going to look at it. You're busy. You're crazy that week. So that Wednesday, send an email. I know you're not going to respond. Thursday, I visit personally. Walk in the door. Emily might not be the front desk. Might be a guy named Kyle. Hey, Kyle, I talked to Emily on Monday. I shot Chris an email. Is Chris in? Nah, Chris isn't in. Is he on lunch or something? No, he's in a meeting. Great. When's he going to be open tomorrow? Friday. Talking about Friday. We're on Thursday, first meeting. I'm going to swing back by and talk to Chris on Friday. Tell him I'm going to come see him tomorrow at blank time when he's open. So you're like, oh, crap, this guy hit me up on social. He talked to Emily. He sent me an email. He talked to Kyle. Now, like by then, it's like, hey, all I want to do is give you free information. So that R&D of like that step-by-step process allows us to get in, know already 2 people in that building before I even get to meet you and say, listen, hey, what's up? You having problems? Are you just, it's time versus money? What's going on? So that's another sort of R&D thing that we sort of built out our process procedure on how we're going to acquire a client. And that closing ratio going up like 84% by doing that.
Wow. I mean, it takes a lot more effort, certainly. But if you've identified someone that you think is really going to be a good fit for your services and you think you can provide value, and I think like a free audit, a free, like just package of information that will help them. Link. I've also worked with. It's definitely like a very salesman tactic. But I've worked with folks who've used like LinkedIn to just bypass a lot of those gatekeepers who are going to prevent you from talking to the right person sometimes.
Absolutely. Like I think about, one good thing I love, and, I'll say this name and everybody will probably know it on this call is Neil Patel.
Yeah.
SEO audit. I mean, everyone, this dude, I'm just saying, like, he gives you free audit and you're not sucked in, but you're like, hey, I can use this tool to now optimize websites, pull information and use that data to say, okay, what's the server on? Is it built on WordPress, WP Engine, built on Wix, is it built on Squarespace? How can you already go in saying, I know you're on Divi on WP Engine, your IP address is this, your mobile response is 4 seconds, your desktop is 3. Everybody's looking at your website through your mobile, so your mobile's slow, or how can we optimize it? It's like you're basically giving just free information. So like, man, this guy knows more about my company than I do.
Yeah,
like
and sometimes just look at what people who are really successful are doing, see what works well, and you can also lift that and borrow it, make it your own, to be able to use this type of tactic. So I think it's a really good one. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Oh yeah. So Tiffany's got a comment. LinkedIn is becoming a lot of DM spam sales because of that. I think that is a really fair point. I can't tell you how many I get on any given day or week. So it is tough, and I'd love to hear people, how folks are trying to get around that. One way that I've seen that's worked well in the past is just really kind of echoing what Britton said, really getting personal, and making it more about the relationship rather than trying to get something. I think, really trying to focus on that is going to increase your chances of standing out, but it's not guaranteed. I don't think any of this stuff is necessarily guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of times on LinkedIn Messenger, it's like, it's just, like, I can help you grow 10x your business. I mean, I think like Grant Cardone, I'm like, all right, just discard, archive immediately type of stuff. But we really get like, we'll send out some emails to clients. Like, hope you have a spooky Friday. Now, I'm not saying that because that seems so generic and it's branded towards us, not them. It's really understanding, who the person you're talking to. And then I understand this like an elevator pitch as fast as you can. But again, it's like, we have to be authentic in anything we send out. We really have to get the core of it, because a lot of times, first, you can't get your tone of voice through a message. Yeah. That's what sucks. We can try to attach a visible representation, a PDF, a photo, a video, put them in there, but it's just, we just have to be authentic.
Yeah. I mean, I my career has been built on writing predominantly, and I can't tell you how much I'm just wrestling over word choice to really try and convey without any, misinterpretation what I'm trying to, so I get that. Like, you can't.
Well, there is some stuff like restaurants, they use a term 86th. I mean, they're going to take it off the menu. It's 86th. So how can we insert their terminology on something that they would know and see? So like, for the restaurants, say, have you 86'd your marketing? And they're like, what? Hey, got rid of my marketing. And they're like, it's a vernacular they use day in, day out in the restaurant industry, that we sort of use their own vernacular against them to get this sort of like, I've heard that, I've seen that, I've wrote on a menu 86 this. Or like, if I think about, auto dealerships, hey, co-op pay. So like, corporate will pay for advertisements for the dealership if they come within certain guidelines. How can we say, is your co-op dollars actually being spent well? Or something that actually be their vernacular they would understand, versus saying, how can we help your marketing?
It just shows that, one, you serve that industry or market and what they're, like what's up, or that you did a little bit of research to just make a personal outreach. I just, as a marketer, I'm pretty resistant to marketing, especially cold outreaches. But if somebody's done a really good job, I will give them some of my time, if it's appropriate, for what we're doing. I'm loving some of these comments in the chat here. So Tim asked, can Britton expand more on his service menu? Is it the picks and mix during a meeting, or is this done online by the client?
So we do an exploratory call, normally through Google Meet, our Calendly link, easy enough. But we do actually send the DocuSign, which has all the service selection in it. And I don't know if we can show it or not, but it's all up to you, Chris. But it's really just like they pick and choose, and literally they just send that back to us. And so it's done digitally, which is great. But we do have that exploratory call before we send it to make sure the client qualifies.
Cool. So we have a request to see that doc. That's in the slide deck that you had prepped?
It is, yeah.
All right, 18. Slide 18. So we're going to see if slide sharing is going to work. Come on, Demio. Okay, friends, if you could just give me a thumbs up or something in the chat that you can see this slide. This is, yes, thank you.
There we
Wonderful.
go.
Thank you, friends. We're going to go down to slide 18.
There we go. So to sort of break down this real easily, we look at obviously all the categories. So they can click the social media category, but they still need to click something inside of it. So if I think about, social media as a whole, they're choosing 2, 3, 4, 5. They're basically telling us what they want. Then we say, okay, great. On what platforms? So then that's when we start doing the algorithm between, okay, this is 2 posts a week on Facebook, 2 posts a week on Instagram. How do we customize and make them different? Then brand management. I mean, literally they pick and choose everything from here, and they send it back to us, and we just start building a plan from there. All a la carte.
This is great. Cool.
Tim, does that? Yeah, hopefully Tim.
Tim, is that helpful? Awesome. And then Garrick, just going back to Garrick's comment real quick. I think he brings up a really good point, that just leaving thoughtful comments or questions on their profile and their posts, and just like doing some engagement with them before you're asking them out on a date, like always a good, I kind of view it as like building a relationship. You're trying to learn about them, to see if it's a good fit, to see if there's like a mutual exchange there. And, you gotta, just jumping in feet first like that, it can be very off-putting, as I think Tiffany mentioned earlier.
Definitely. And Garrett brought up a good point. It's sort of like, I think about the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. That jab is it's a great example. I'm getting my distance, my target, but for here, it's like I'm leaving a thoughtful comment. Hey, encouraging, like agreeing with encouraging post. I hope you're safe. That knockout punch should be that thing that's in your DMs that, hey, you've seen me before. I love what you do. Would love to connect. And we don't want it to be like one of those pictures like, hey, you want to be part of this pyramid scheme? Like, no, nothing like that. Like, you want to try to tone it that way, saying, I just love what you do in your content. Would love to connect and sit down. And like I said, that authentic thing, Garrick, you really hit it on the head that way on sort of that mentality of jab, jab,
and
jab.
For me, like the one thing that helps, I think one thing is like, hey, your content helped me. Great. I think I always go that step of like, this is how it helped me. Because then it really shows just that there was like a personal takeaway from there. Because there's also like, this is a tactic. People just say, and I get these emails, hey, loved your webinar. Great. Like, I don't really think you listened to it actually, because you're just, all it was we loved your webinar, buy this stuff. Okay. So it's like, cool. You did like half a step, but it's not an authentic message. And spam, it's where it gets sent. So I think just like really being able to get down to like, why are you engaging with this person? What, that's always been a helpful tactic for me. Kind of circling back to our conversation at hand, and going back to just providing value and building value into your agency. There's also a part of that that's setting realistic expectations. And if you promise the moon, you better be ready to deliver that. Otherwise, you risk driving off your clients. So I'm curious, what are some ways that as you're going through this process, as you're going through, this checklist, that you're able to set these clear expectations with your client and your team?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we have a lot of our processes set through Ghost University, which is our internal training thing for all of our team members. But for clients, it's really like once we go through the proposal, we built everything and showed them, and we use all the social aggregators and all that good stuff. It's really just helping them understand, like at the forefront is okay, great, if we're going to run this campaign, we have to break down the psychology of it. It's like, great example for like radio. It's like people have to hear it,
7 times.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to see it 7 to 8, almost 10 times. I think about this. We touch our phones almost 150 times a day, checking notification, checking this, checking that. So like we have to be, there's so many impressions we have to get now. We have to sort of, I hate to use the term, and I want to write the book, marketing for dummies, for clients only for clients. For them to sit there and say, okay, listen, you can't just expect to throw money at a wall and hopefully it sticks. We have to have, call to action, where the funnel's going. Are we understanding who we target? What's the demographics? If I have, a restaurant and I'm trying to target, right now, the best thing about it is like, let's target for, moms, but how are we going to target them? Let's target them for after school place their kids can eat and do homework at the same time. That's quiet. That's reserved. That has the kids' favorite, because kids are going to always eat cheese, pizza, burgers, fries. They're never going to go like sushi. Go, let have kids have sushi. No kid is going to eat like just raw fish.
Only if you're in California or Hawaii.
Yeah, only if you're in California. But it's those things. It's really being just upfront and honest with clients and telling them, hey, these real expectations. I can see us getting traction the first 90 days. Great. It's then delivering that or over delivering. If I can get if I say traction can take between 90 to 120 days, and I get traction 60, great. I under promise and over delivered. It's trying to honestly understand the true expectations of what we can do as marketers and agencies and ad agencies, that we're not over promising and under deliver. Then it just becomes a mediocre marketing team. And like, okay, we're going to find the next one that can do the same thing.
So it sounds like from where you were to where you are now, you've structured your service offerings to allow your business to be more resilient with this more like a la carte. They can pick what they want. There's plenty of opportunities for upselling as you build and grow that relationship, it seems like. I'm curious if I was a niche marketer and wanted to build in a little more resiliency into my business, how was it shifting from that to this? Like what could another agency owner do to sort of facilitate that shift? And is it painful?
I mean, It has growing pains. Every agency has growing. I mean, I'm 2 years. I'm still trying to figure out my foundations half the time. But building those processes and understanding that shift. But it's also what your limitations are as an agency and what you can service and what you can offer. Like we have a whole production team: photographer, videographer, graphic, web design, creative director. That's payroll for us. So we have to make sure there's enough work to justify that payroll on top of making a profit for the company. So it's if you're making the shift from like packages to more of a niche a la carte thing that being chosen, just make sure my sheet that you showed, we didn't start with all these offerings. I mean, we were just a social media company that dealt with like postings, and then we started getting photographers and we did some website design, and we slowly built that out, understanding as we find the client that needs it, we have the solution, but you have to have the solution in order to offer it. And the one thing I do love is being backed in a corner by a client is honestly great. Because then you can really show, hey, I'm like a great example, and I'll keep this brief. Is a client just hit us up and asked us for a bunch of AV IT stuff. I'm like, oh, we're not an AV company, not AV. And so I hit up my creative director, just like, bro, do you know anybody with AV I can hire? That I could hire, I could have a solution. It might be payroll, but I want to see what the benefit will be for this contract to have. That will be 12 to 24 months and be completely inclusive. But then also need from the client, what are your expectations of the client to do that? So as someone that comes from a package agency to change that to a la carte and those growing pains that go with it, trust the process, trust the people. It's I know as owners, we like to be control. We don't like to give out. We don't like to delegate, because if we can't control it and something happens on our head, it's our money that's coming out of our pocket. It's our brand. It's our face. It's our name. But you got to trust the people. You got to trust the people in the process on getting it done, and understand it will be it'll be going through mountains and valleys, but at the end of the day, you'll become better for it.
It definitely is a journey through and through. Sometimes it feels like you're just taking that one ring straight to Mordor, but you got to carry it. Carry it. Have your pal Samwise help you on the way.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've
Death Star number 1 and Death Star number 2. They both blow up, but at the end of the day, the Empire still stands.
Yeah, think of the long game. Cool. And also, just as a quick, you saw that sheet. We also, I'm going to send this in chat too. We just came out with a social media audit. So this is a form you can click on there to download it. It'll just walk you through all the platforms that we support on Cloud Campaign, and really walk through a lot of what Britton just talked about. Just determining, goals, strategies, where they want to be, all that stuff. So if you're interested in just having another tool in your toolkit to help level up your client's social media, feel free to download that. We have covered a lot of ground, so I do want to open it up to some Q&A action. So if you do have any questions, please throw them into the chat, and we'll get through as many as we can. And if then there's not, then that'll be the end of the webinar. So I'll give you a few moments to pop some of those questions into the chat. And as we're waiting on these to come in, Britton, what are you doing over the weekend?
Oh, I am working. Oh, so we have something called the Ultimate Race. That is a dog race in the Southeast, and it's a dog and human obstacle course. That got moved from Saturday to Sunday because of the hurricane. And then a hockey season, they have something called Fan Fest. That's happening. All the fans can get together, and that's what we're dealing with on Saturday. So we have a Saturday and a Sunday.
Okay, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna connect with you offline later about that dog racing. That sounds really cool. But Tim asked, he sees that you're franchising. What does a franchisee get?
Yes. So we're working through. It's still building out. That's the best thing about it. Is we're honestly trying to get the process procedure. So for us, we have the Southeast sort of locked down right now, but we're trying to find other franchisees that want to honestly take marketing. Marketing never franchises. I'm just letting you know right now. I move in my chair because I'm trying something against the grain. You think about restaurants franchising. You think about, supplement companies franchise. You think about a lot of different things franchise, but you never hear of a marketing company franchising. So for us, there's a lot of times we can do satellite locations. I can go open a location in Texas. I can open a location in New Jersey. I can open a location in Florida. But it's more like, obviously I like to focus on hyper local, and that's what our foundation is built off of. About 70% of all of our clientele is within a 50 to 100 mile radius of us. So what we want to do is take the model we have, find hyper local owners or soon to be owners, entrepreneurs that will say, hey, I love marketing. I want to do it. I don't have the foundation. I don't have the process. I don't have the scalability and the infrastructure to do it and then understand my market. So when we do franchising, we send a SWAT team out, strengths with advanced tactics. So we go into a market, we basically dissect the market, figure out where the potential is, but everything for a franchise. So they get the name, they get the naming rights, they get the market, they get it, they can buy, a couple different cities. It's just the whole technicalities of it. It's basically you own your own franchise in a different city. That for us, we want to make sure we have franchises everywhere so we can just focus on our market and everybody else can focus on their own. Because I know my own backyard. I don't know too much, Utah, no clue. Someone open in Utah, we're gonna have to do a lot of R&D. But if someone that's already there knows the potential, knows the industry, knows everything, know the cost, know contractors, know people, boom, take that market, do it. We'll help you with the infrastructure, the building it up. Nice. You own that market.
Providing a lot of the harder to develop framework and infrastructures, but leaving the market expertise.
Blood, sweat, and tears that we've gone through.
Well, I'd be curious, just like reconnecting down the road to see how that strategy is working for you. It'd be cool to revisit that. So thanks for sharing that, Tim. I hope we answered your question there. Natalie, both as offers some encouragement to the Blues. I'm assuming maybe the Blue Jackets hockey. We were talking about that before, which maybe means I think they're in Ohio, right? That's cool. How do y'all get clients to understand the benefit of good graphics and art for social? Great question.
It's hard. Yeah. So the hardest thing is really like, I'm trying to think of how to word this is, for us, graphic design is like, they choose that. And then as you know, like it's the visual perception of it, because some people think, good graphics are what we did in high school for a school project. Oh my gosh, my kid did this amazing. Or, my high school can do this, or my college intern can do this. It's really, I guess, for them is understanding the value of, first, I think about this is like the time I put in, like a great example, like, Adobe Center, Adobe Suite, that's what we love the most, AI, Photoshop, and design, all that good stuff. The years it took to understand that versus someone that just is using Canva or someone that's just using online, graphic builder that's just layers. It's really understanding like, hey, you're having someone that's come in, understand the vision, draw something, if it's illustration graphics or if it's just, layering graphics, like, I take a PNG and layer on different backgrounds and have different typography. We do a lot of illustrations because we want to build it from scratch and tell the client, listen, this is something that's completely custom made that for you can keep, you have the rights, they can buy the rights. I mean, they'll buy the graphic, but they'll buy the rights to it. We'll put an AI, EPS, PNG, JPEG, we'll get PDF, we'll put all the files in your Dropbox, your Google Drive, in your OneDrive, whatever it is. It is yours. This is something completely custom, but this is the price tag because I'm having my graphic designer illustrator make it custom for you versus just something you can find on the internet and it's bare bones and you'll use it barely and then you might use it for one campaign and then it's gone. Hopefully that answered. It's good graphics, just the value proposition of saying we're having something created and we're having a creative director do it to the point where you give us some examples, we're going to knock out of the park. That's what I'm trying to think about. Like that's sort of how we approach it, but I let Jared and the graphics team handle that. They're more the they sell themselves.
And it's also, I think, being very intentional with the art that you're creating. And if that's the case, then you have to pay somebody for it. Like it should really have a focused purpose. And to Britton's point, like you need to be, if you're going to invest in assets, that asset needs to be able to be used as much as possible so you can get the return on it. Especially, if it's like content lead or branding, it doesn't matter what the art is. Quality, you get what you pay for, which can be a trap on Fiverr sometimes. But also just like quality and experience with designing art and graphics and things like that do convert and catch eyes and like do their job. It's not free, it's not cheap, it's not easy. You got to pay people to do it. So I think just like opening up those conversations of like why this is valuable, why we need to spend just a little bit to make this investment to improve our efficacy.
Well, great example too I'll bring up is like, we say good graphics and art for social. It's more like, think about this, Coca-Cola, Nike, McDonald's, all these big companies, they still try to reinvent the wheel. Wendy's is doing it right now with their their freaking morning sticks. What were they called? I can't remember what it was. I saw
like
it on
pancake dunking sticks or something.
Some type of, exactly, something like that. It's like homemade. It says homemade, and the whole campaign is like better than Mama made it, better than Grandma made it. And they have a grandma right beside, like, what'd you say? Like it's like that funny thing. But it's understanding that you're completely customizing something that's to their brand, to their colors, to their Pantones, to their font. it's really hard to find something that's customizable and really on par with them for graphics when you can just hire someone outsource, do it, but they don't understand your vision, your goals, and your brand. You just say, hey, I'm going to put something together. They just put like different things on. Okay, it's going to be $5 for a revision, $5 for a revision. So that's great, but can I knock it out of the park the first time? Get a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to save you time versus money.
So, Natalie, hopefully we answered or gave you some ammunition to work with. Let us know if we didn't. Sorry for the, we miscategorized you as a Blue Jackets fan. St. Louis Blues is what she was referring to. But I think on the 1st, the St. Louis Blue Jackets will be, or the St. Louis Blues will be playing the Columbus Blue Jackets. So maybe you can enjoy that game. All right, so we got some more questions. Will you be sharing your slides? Can we share those, Britton, with the...
Yeah, absolutely. Those are yours. They're. I know it's more of a conversational thing, but yeah, you can share that slide out to everybody. It has about 28 pages, I think, has a lot in there. Some of the stuff we went over.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll share that in the email that will go out with the recording, so you will have access to that information. Damien asks, how do you deal with a prospect bringing up that your competitor is more affordable? This is a very good question.
Get this all the time. So one thing I always tell people, especially if it's a marketing agent, like, marketing doesn't sleep. It doesn't matter, if you're on Labor Day, you're on Christmas, you're on New Year's days, like we're always innovating and making sure that we're having the next thing come. Like we're focused on Q1 and Q2 right now because Q3 and Q4 are already gone. I'm just saying that right now. Those are already planned and gone. Yeah, exactly. We're already in 2023, even though we're still in 2022. But how to deal with the pricing issue, a lot of the times it's, people see price and like, you have to bring that value. And it's like, we keep on going back to value. And I hate keep on sort of ringing that. I feel like beating a dead horse or ringing a gong the same way. But like, great example. We had a client here. We had a marketing company here in town that quoted a website that was, I think, like $23,000. Way too much for the project at hand. And so, this company came to say, hey, we have, another bid that's like $23,000 for this website, blah, blah, blah. And it's okay, great. We can do that for, I think it was like $9 grand, almost half. Not because we're trying to be cheaper and try to underbid them, because we actually looked at the time, energy, and effort it took to do it. And then the custom photography and the HTML it took to do that. But with it, we said, what you get with us is a little bit different. With us, you get custom photography, custom videography, you get custom coding. We give you also access to training materials to say, hey, if you want to take on the website yourself, you don't have to always rely on a marketing company to come and make these tweaks, make these edits, change that. But the one thing they said, you get dedicated people to you. Now, a lot of them all the time will say, hey, you can call our team at any time. And anybody will say that. That's a great pitch, but I want people to actually say, I want you to call me on my cell. I'm going to save you as a contact right now. If you call me at 10 o'clock at night, if you call me at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'll try my best to answer because I might be sleeping, might be with the family. But if I see your number ding, I can guarantee I'll get back to you within 30 minutes to probably 2 hours max. And you have someone here dedicated to make sure that your questions, your concerns are answered. You're bringing it back to the people, the value, and saying the team might have, they might have a fantastic, cheap product. But for us, you're relying on people that are going to actually be here, understanding your brand, and here at your beck and call. Like that Dunder Mifflin one where you had them sitting there saying, okay, here's the big paper company. All right, here's us. You can call us and answer. And, it's that same mindset on building the value in yourself and that it's people-oriented. No matter what we do, even though we're marketing, we're in the people business. So we rely on people to finish a website. We rely on people to send out a mailer. We rely on people to jump on Google Meets. We rely on someone to build out a proposal. No matter what we are, we're in the people business. And with that, you have to rely on saying, I got to sell myself, but as a person, individual, not as a company, to that, to bring that value, to bring that money.
Yeah, and I think with that, it also depends on just, if you have competitors that are trying to undercut you or just like a bargain, type of agency, maybe, and if that customer is a bargain hunter, like, which I mean, sure, most business owners are, but if you have a really solid value proposition and a really solid offering and you're a good fit, sometimes you just got to let them go to the cheaper route, be unhappy, and then they come back. I've definitely had that happen where It's like, I'm going to go with this, much cheaper route and just, can you fix this? It's like,
well, I think it's like a trial by fire type of thing too. Is like, my parents let me fail multiple times because they want me to learn how to do it right. And it's like, hey, let them go to the cheaper option. Let them go. Absolutely. They will be back. And if they're not back, fine, they're going to do with what they have, but then they're going to be really unhappy with it, and unhappy with the service, unhappy with the quality of the product, and unhappy overall. Sometimes you got to let them go, say, hey, listen, let you go to the wind. And then if they want to come back, they can come back. If not, keep an open door. Don't hold grudges. Trust me. Like someone comes back saying, hey, I want to, like, you're like, yeah, right, because the other company sucked, didn't they? Like, hold yourself to the higher road. Don't hold grudges. Understand your hair as a business, and word of mouth is everything. In a lot of,
especially if you're focusing hyper local, honey attracts a lot more flies than vinegar. So I've been told. Not in the business of attracting flies one way or the other, so I've not tested any of those theories.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think it really comes down to being able to let some go, and there's always a chance, like you said, to do a remarketing campaign to a few months down the line or whatever. Hey, how's it going with that? Just reaching out.
Yeah, or just touching base. I consider myself the follow-up king. Is always just following up, just being a person. Like, hey, how's everything going? You're doing good. Hope you have a spooky weekend.
It makes it
like these ghosts, but still, it's like those type of things that are just touching point as a person. Like hey, I saw you went to the beach. How was that? Like did you enjoy some time off? Or you went to the Clemson game, or like it could be whatever it is. You're relating to what they do personally on their page. You're following them as an individual, and you're relating to their core, not just
and I view that as like you're making little investments into the bank. And then because eventually you're going to need to make a withdrawal. But if you've done a good job of making those little investments along the way, there'll be something to withdraw from.
Plant the seed to reap the harvest later on.
All right. So we covered a lot of ground. I think that wraps us up because we're coming. We went a little bit over, but that's fine if the discussion is good and the questions are coming in. Thank you also for Britton for being just so open and sharing your perspective. Also, everyone, it was just so great to see some familiar names again. Thank you for joining this month's conversation. Britton, before we go, can you just let people know where they can find you if they do want to follow up and call you at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not getting my cell phone number out just yet. But it is plastered everywhere. So trust me, if you call the ghost line,
you're going to get a doxed or whatever when people...
I think about getting a Google number because so many people call me, but it's nothing wrong. I want to say that personally. I love all you guys. Thank you for tuning in. But easy enough. Yeah. So our website, ghostmarketing.org. So ghostmarketing.org. A lot of times people think it's .com, it's .org. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's either Ghost Marketing Agency or Ghost Marketing overall. And then obviously my email is britton@ghostmarketing.org. If you have any other questions, hit me up, hit Chris up. That's, we're here just, expand the knowledge. I mean, there's so much on this tip of the iceberg we're hitting, but there's so much underneath. And, we're just thankful for you guys taking time out of your day to actually
really
join.
Appreciate it. Loved the comments and the questions. Don't forget, we will be sending out the replay and the survey later. Again, we really appreciate it if you take time to fill out that survey and just help us guide our conversations and content so that we really can serve you with some great discussions and things that'll be useful to you. And if you're interested in trying out Cloud Campaign to level up your social media management, head over to cloudcampaign.com. You can give us a try for 2 weeks, totally free. And that's it for today. We are going to catch you next month. Super exciting. We are going to be talking about creating short form video content with a real life influencer. They exist. They're real people. So you can look forward to that if you are interested in creating video content. Aside from that, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Bye.